Hello everybody, I'm really excited because in this video we're going to be reviewing a comic book. Yes, this video is very kindly sponsored by SHP Comics, who are a new indie comics publisher, and they've just launched an issue 1 of the first comic book series, The Killing Machine, which we're going to be reviewing in this particular video. This issue starts a thought-provoking, action-packed, epic science fiction story which explores the nature of life in the universe, featuring the incredible art of Michael Fulton. This is a can't miss comic for your collection. Please note this will be a 7-issue series and the full scope of the story will not be revealed until issue 3. Go and check out the links in the description down below, as SHP Comics are doing some amazing work, and yeah, just go and check out the website. You might even find some comic books that you really would love to purchase. But without further ado, let's go over and review issue 1 of The Killing Machine. My first overview of this is that if you like the Marines from Avatar and Aliens, and also like the story of James Kirk trying to live up to the name of his father George, Battlestar Galactica, and the many adventures of Data from Star Trek The Next Generation trying to learn about humanity and coming accustomed to them, oh, and David from the Alien franchise, then you're going to absolutely love this comic book. Right at the beginning of the story, you're given two main characters. Richter, who is an android or a robot that has a special mission and is reporting directly to the top brass, and you've got as well Lieutenant Coney, who is, well, let's just say she has a very sketchy background, but we learn more about that as the story progresses. At this point in the story, we are kind of like led to believe that like something is big that's going to be happening, and as well what Richter has is going to come back and be explained at a later point through a flashback. And coming out of status, we learn a lot about Lieutenant Coney, in particular her background. It's only later on we learn about her kind of, let's just say, very outgoing lifestyle that involved drug use, which wasn't great. But I think one of the biggest things was she was always having to live up to a name. And this is where, as I said at the start, is that the parallels between James T. Kirk and also George Kirk come in. And that kind of like, if you've seen the first Star Trek film, you know that kind of thing, like, you know, your father had like 30 seconds at the helm of a starship, you know, see what you can do with X amount more time. And that's that constant kind of living up to the name that you have to do, the pressures of your parent being a kind of like well-respected forces member. And that's the vibes I definitely get from Lieutenant Coney. She's trying to live up to expectations, but also trying to follow orders, directives, and find a purpose in the universe. And the Lieutenant is very much kind of like scarred by the things of her past and things that she's done, the instances that made her kind of make this big kind of like life change. And it's great to see this because it does kind of like show with the artwork, which covers emotion and these moments in a very kind of like just normal relatable fashion. So yeah, amazing artwork for this, especially to capture these moments, looking at the scar like this, and that kind of like action with kind of like thinking about the past and going to these kind of backstory shots. So you kind of feel like you're following the purpose of the story and also following the lead characters, which is Richter, who is the android, which we're going to come on to a minute, but also Lieutenant Coney and the reasons why she has to change to better herself and also, you know, live up to the name of what seems to be a parent in the forces. Now, at this point through the story, you kind of feel like you know what's going on and why there's a plan, and it's not really kind of overly explained. And actually towards the end, we kind of go, what is the plan here? What is the achievement? What is the goal? But one thing that is important is to kind of learn a little bit more about Richter, his place in the Space Force, and also, you know, what is there something more to this? And also him being a commander, like how certain characters will go. Can we trust a robot to be in charge of operations? Which is that parallel in story and kind of narrative that we get from, say, Data in Starfleet, and as well when he assumed a commander position and had like Worf question him in the early parts of Star Trek The Next Generation, and also with Dr. Gupta creating Richter, which we're going to learn about now, and how that is something that's important to go, look, people are going to question when a robot or an android is in charge as to making decisions that maybe a human would make differently, which may not be seen as correct, but are correct. in a response to an issue, a problem, or even a mission. And this can definitely be seen by Lieutenant Coney questioning Richter as to the methods or the direction of the mission to get to a planet's surface to do the next part of an operation, which again we yet to see or find out about. By about page 10 in the story, we are kind of welcomed into the world of Dr. Gupta and the creation of Richter. This is basically the Noonien Sung and data creation type story arc narrative, which is great. You kind of learn certain things about how Richter is being taught by Dr. Gupta about religion and kind of understanding elements of spirituality and that kind of creator-creation dynamic, which is really cool. This is my favorite part of issue 1 because it goes over that dynamic of that AI creator-creation type experience and the AI learning from what is a father-like figure. And it's just like a real kind of great back and forth between characters. From pages 13 to 18, there are some amazing created space battles. This is where fans of Star Wars, and in particular Star Wars comic books or anything that's kind of sci-fi related and comic books and has things like space battles, you are gonna love this and it is well worth checking out. You also get to learn a little bit more about the mission at hand, which is kind of like the Trojan horse type mission where you put something in a box or a horse and you send it to a location where your enemies are in order for that to open up and then, you know, wreak havoc on your enemy. It's kind of like a very kind of like a big diversion. Is the Trojan horse strategy. That's the best way to kind of describe it. And while this is all happening, we go back in time again to kind of learn about the reason for pitching Richter as the savior, as a great commander, as just a better option for the Space Force to choose in order to get results. We also learned that Lieutenant Coney is now in charge of this big starship, which it's going to be very difficult to kind of, you know, save the day when they're under attack by so many enemies. We're also none the wiser as to what is the mission of Richter, which does separate out things as to what is next and definitely going to hype up what is in issue 2 and onwards. And issue 1 ends with this nice little kind of coverage as to the process of Lieutenant Coney from when Coney wanted to start the kind of process of going into the academy, getting very, very bad as a junkie, getting very, very unwell, mentally unstable, and how she kind of got strength stronger, she got better, faster, and got motivation by her mistakes to influence her future and why she is indeed enrolled with the Space Force. And there we go, that has been issue 1 of The Killing Machine. Go and check out SHP Comics in the link in the description down below and see if there's anything on the site that might take your fancy with getting. And I'll tell you what, this series looks like it's going to really hot up in future issues. And it is just amazing to see. Fantastic artwork and a great story. As I said, for me, it is just that kind of like mixing together of different things that I like. So I like robots, I like androids, I like the story of Star Wars: The Next Generation, where we've got Data, Noonien Sung, and that kind of dynamic right there. The creator and the creation, and especially with teaching AI, especially if you look at so many kind of like robotic based films like iRobot and also Ex Machinima. That's like a great film as well, kind of like incorporating things of that and like AI coming alive and kind of understanding stuff of the world. There's also that other dynamic as well of Lieutenant Coney, who's also trying to live up to a name similar to that James T. Kirk and George Kirk type dynamic. So yeah, a lot of things I absolutely love about this, and I really recommend this series and kind of like checking out how the story continues on. Go and check out The Killing Machine in the link in the description down below. Thank you very much to SHP Comics for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.